This is Where We Live from Connecticut Public Radio. I'm Catherine Shen. Sunday marked National Grandparents' Day. For many of us, grandparents, whether biological or honorary, are anchors of love, stability, and wisdom. This hour, we're looking at some of the more unconventional forms of grandparenting in our region and the stories that show how these relationships can be life-changing. Joining me now are two people who know firsthand the power of intergenerational living. They're part of the Treehouse East Hampton in Massachusetts. That's a unique neighborhood where kids leaving the foster care system or growing up with foster and adopted families are paired with honorary grandparents who walk alongside them. Erica Kuster is the CEO of Treehouse Foundation. Erica, thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you for having me.
And also with us is Holly Hanfield. Holly is an honorary grandparent and longtime resident at Treehouse Communities in East Hampton. Holly, we appreciate you joining us as well.
No problem.
And for our listeners, we would love to hear from you. Let us know if you're a grandparent or did a grandparent, honorary or biological, change your life. Let us know, 888-720-9677, or leave us a comment on Facebook and Twitter at Where We Live. So, Erica, I want to start with you here. Intergenerational homes are pretty common, but I think many people might not know how to picture what an intergenerational community looks like. So can you give us an idea, what does it look like, and what does the Treehouse community in East Hampton physically look like?
Sure. We have just shy of 11 acres that the Treehouse community is located on. Excuse me, with family homes and older adult apartments fully age integrated throughout the community. So that means we don't have a cluster of family homes and then a separate area for older adult residents. In addition to homes over these 11 acres, we've got a large community center that has an industrial kitchen where lots of life and programming happen. We have a large community room for community meals, for potlucks, for teas. All kinds of events happen in that space. And it's really the heart of the community where folks come together, relationships are woven, and fantastic work is happening with kids.
Well, it sounds like there's a lot of different communities who live at these homes. So who actually does live there?
So I think our demographics are pretty representative of East Hampton's demographics, but we've got families that have chosen to foster children through DCF. Mm-hmm. There's always a commitment to move towards permanency. That is our underlying goal, is that we want to ensure that no child ages out of the foster care system without a permanent, loving family in place. So families have made that commitment to permanency and are fostering anywhere from 1 to 4 kids. And Holly may be able to speak to families that have historically come through Treehouse that have been even larger than that. Mm-hmm. And then our older adults are, honestly, our older adults are amazing. They come from many in Massachusetts, but we have some folks who've come from outside of Massachusetts as well. All walks of life, different experiences, different skills that they bring to the table. And it's really that comprehensive set of skills, personalities, people, experiences that provides that anchor of support to kids who've experienced foster care.
Well, I know you mentioned just now that permanency is a goal for this living. And Judy Cockerton, who's the founder of Treehouse Foundation back in 2002, what problem was Judy trying to solve when she came up with the idea of an intergenerational community besides permanent living?
So Judy was a foster parent herself. Mm-hmm. Still is. And she observed pretty early in her journey as a foster parent that even as someone with lots of privilege and lots of access to resources, she felt like she needed more support in order to be able to support kids who'd experienced trauma to become healthy, resilient adults. So she started looking for models that would provide that kind of support. And after doing a lot of research, a lot of thinking, a lot of really deeply visionary thinking, she landed on the intergenerational model that manifests at Treehouse today. that is actually based on a community in Rantoul, Illinois called Hope Meadows that it similarly supports kids who've experienced foster care and connects them with honorary grandparents.
Well, and Holly, you are an honorary grandparent at Treehouse Foundation. Tell me about your decision to move into this community. What was that? When was that, first of all?
It was 17 years ago, and I had been through some medical issues where I had to stop working and move in with my daughter and my grandsons. And as I recuperated, I was trying to figure out where I was going next and knew that I wanted to be surrounded by children because I was always surrounded by children. I raised 4 of my own, and our house seemed to be the hub of wherever they came. So I was working part-time at Habitat for Humanity, and the woman that I was working with actually lived here at Treehouse. She was one of the first ones that had moved in and invited me to come see the community. And I fell in love with it. And I don't think it was even 2 weeks before I put in my application, and I was here within a matter of months. I was lucky because some people wait quite a while to get in here. Nobody wants to move in the winter.
Right. Can't blame them, especially if you're here. Well, I mean, it's pretty amazing to hear that. It seems like it was quite a quick process for you. What was the transition like? Did you have a transition?
Sorry?
What was the transition like for you?
Well, of course, it was winter, so it was, when you move into a place like this, and you know that you want to be part of the community, and you've got to figure out where you stand in the whole thing and what you can give to the community. And I think the first thing I did, because I cook a lot, is that on Saturday mornings I started Miss Holly's Cafe, and I cooked breakfast at the time I was doing it 2 times a month on a Saturday morning and cooking breakfast for whoever wanted to come and eat breakfast with me. And I'm still doing it 17 years later.
Wow.
Because people enjoy coming and just being together. The kids can come and they enjoy eating. It's like eating out for them. They can come over to the center and it's, they can go up to the table and get whatever they want. So it was something that I started and still remain doing, and I absolutely love it. So that was the first thing I did. But then I started connecting with kids. And through the arts program, we had Priscilla Hedwick, who at the time, ran Enchanted Circle Theater. I don't know whether you've ever heard of it, but she was going into the school systems and teaching the kids through the arts. And so she would come here and do art stuff with us. And so I connected with the kids that way through the arts. And it was absolutely wonderful because the kids, they were into it, and it didn't matter whether we were older.
Right.
We were fun. And so they enjoyed the whole process. And I got to know a lot of the kids through that.
Well, and it sounds like you're able to connect with the kids through breakfast and food, which is always a good way to start, and the universal language, I think. And also through the arts. Do you have a typical day for you at the tree? Well, you're laughing now, so I know that's not a typical day, but
there is no typical day here at Treehouse because every day is different. We have a lot of things going on. If I could show you my calendar, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 things that I'm doing on different days this month that I'm involved in, and then there's the after school program for the kids. So, and yes, sometimes I do take a day and just hibernate and call it a holiday.
That's perfect.
And, you know, but yeah, I mean, I can close my door and just be me, or I can open my door and let everybody in, and that's what I try to do on most days.
Well, and Erica, sort of riding on the non-typical days for everyone at Treehouse Foundation, I'm sure there's also a wide range of experiences that kids are coming to the communities with. But is it common that these kids who have navigated the foster care system are especially in need of a nurturing environment?
Very much so. Just the sheer fact of family separation is traumatizing. I cannot imagine any children that could make it through family separation without experiencing some degree of trauma. And then the statistics show that many kids who enter the foster care system experience 2 or more placements in their first year of foster care, which means if they're coming from their biological home, their family, they may be in 3 different household situations in the course of 1 year. I have 2 young kids, and I know how much just the most minor transitions cause disruption and stress and all kinds of responses. The kids who are coming to Treehouse are experiencing pretty much anything you can imagine. So it is really critically important that everyone who's interacting with children at Treehouse has some degree of trauma proficiency. So we do a lot of work, and Miss Holly can speak to this as well. We spent time with community members building proficiency around trauma. Our entire staff is trauma informed as well, and our programmatic work is anchored in a clinical perspective as well. So it really runs the gamut of different experiences that kids might have had, but it is so important that folks have an understanding of trauma and the behaviors it drives so that we can respond appropriately to the kids who are in our care and nurture and offer the support to move through trauma and to get to healing.
Well, and Holly, I would love to expand on what Erica just shared. Can you talk about, especially with your experience too, what does Treehouse offer to children who have experienced trauma that maybe the more traditional foster care system doesn't provide or can provide?
Okay. I'm a little bit different resident here because I started out as an elder in one of the small cottages. And about a year and a half into me moving in, my 2 grandsons got dropped off at my door. And for the next 14 years, I raised them here at Treehouse. They came to me with trauma. And if I had not been living here and gotten the help that I had from the community and the staff, I'm not sure I would still have had the boys, because there's not a lot of help out there for grandparents raising grandchildren. There's a lot of help for other people wanting to take on foster kids, but not for grandparents so much. So I was struggling. And my youngest grandson stopped going to school in 5th grade. He had agoraphobia. And for the next 3 years, anything he did out of his bedroom. I had tutors. I had the court system tell me I had to have all kinds of people come in and be therapists to him. It was unbelievable. And he was nonverbal as well. So try to get a therapist to talk to a kid that's nonverbal. So the whole process lasted for about 2 years where the school was finding him truant. And in the end, the court system decided that the grandmother knew what she was doing, so that we were going to leave him be, and they dropped the truancy charges. But this community, and not just for me, but for the kids that come here, they do everything in their power to help a child on an individual basis. It's not clumped together as a community. It's individual and what individual children need. And I will speak to the fact that my own son and daughter-in-law took in a foster child and adopted him when he was 4. By the time he was 3, he had been in 12 foster homes before he landed with them. Here in this community, I can remember one foster child that had 19 homes that they were in. Now, when DCF brings them to a different home, they give them a black trash bag to put their belongings in. And how many trash bags can you give a child before they're 10 years old? Really? So we started the suitcase project, and we give, and it's grown nationally. So kids in the foster care system now get suitcases to put their belongings in instead of a black trash bag.
And so because of your various experiences, and thank you so much for sharing your personal experience as well, I think oftentimes it takes hearing those stories to really get a good understanding of how the system works or how it doesn't work. So what goes through your mind, Holly, when you realize that you've played a positive role in these kids, not only for your own grandchildren, but for all of your future Treehouse Foundation grandchildren as well?
Well, when you get older, you think, what am I going to leave behind? What is my offering to this life? And yes, I've raised 4 children and I've worked my whole life and done this and that, but what really have I done to make this world better? And this is my version. Kids learn by experience, and by being here and sharing whatever I've learned over the years is what I can give to the next generation. And I do it happily. I do anything I can for Treehouse. It's like paying it forward because they help me so much with my own grandchildren that I feel obligated to help them with anything that they need, because it's just a wonderful process to see kids from beginning to end and how they end up. I have a young man that I'm very, very close to that I connected in the arts program with, who never raised his head. You never saw his eyes. But he got paired with me during an art program where we had to pretend that we were looking at each other, and he was my reflection in a mirror. So he had to do the same movements that I was doing. So he had to look at me. And we made a connection in that time. And now he's a grown man. But all through the time that he lived here at Treehouse, he was just part of my family. He became friends with my grandsons. He lived in a household with 5 kids, and he was the only boy. So because I had boys in my household, he was always at my house. His mother would say, "Is your other son there?" And I said, "Yeah, yes." She says, "Well, send him home to his real house." But one day he was in high school, and he was downtown, and I was down at a pharmacy, and I was standing outside talking to a woman that I hadn't seen in a while. And he was across the street, and he yelled over. He says, Miss Holly, are you going home?" And I said, "Yes, I am. Do you need a ride?" And he said, "Yeah." I said, "Just get in the car. I'll be there in a minute." And the woman looked at me. She said, "That's one of your children, isn't it?" I said, "Yes, it is, because they're all our children."
Well, I think it's safe to say that I think we're all a little bit more hopeful here to know that this warmth exists in this world. And Holly, that you're bringing so much love and support and warmth to the children at Treehouse, and hopefully beyond, and we'll be continuing this conversation after a quick break. You've been listening to Holly Hanfield, who's an honorary grandparent, and Erica Kuster, who is a CEO at Treehouse Community in East Hampton, Massachusetts. And after a break, we take a deeper look at why that age gap between grandparents and grandchild offers such a rich opportunity for connection and shared learning. Tell us about the older adults who have shaped your life. We would love to hear about it. Give us a call, 888-720-9677, or find us on Facebook and Twitter at Where We Live. This is Where We Live from Connecticut Public Radio. I'm Catherine Shen. The saying is that it takes a village to raise a child, and Treehouse Foundation puts that idea into practice. Treehouse is a community in East Hampton, Massachusetts, where children in foster care are placed in a family setting with adopted parents and honorary grandparents. Still with me are two members of the Treehouse community, CEO Erica Kuster and honorary grandmother Holly Hanfield. So, Erica, I want to come back to you here. What is it about that relationship between folks on two opposite sides of the generational spectrum that creates so much meaning and so much to gain, really, on both sides?
I think that I really want to underscore what you said, that there's so much to gain in the interaction between these two generations. And I would include caregivers in the mix as well for a third generation involved. But for kids who've experienced family disruption, it is critically important that they have stable relationships with as many adults as possible. Even one connection with an adult, it increases children who've experienced family separations ability to engage fully in their education and move into healthy, resilient adulthood. So there is that piece that benefits kids, but there's also the piece that we don't do a great job in this society of caring for our elders, for older adults, and making sure that there are avenues for people to actually leverage the depth of experience, wisdom, and knowledge and perspective that their years of living have afforded them. So having an opportunity for older adults to contribute to the upbringing of kids who've experienced trauma really helps unlock a sense of belonging and purpose. And I feel like, Holly, I should really be inviting you to speak here. You could speak in such concrete terms about what your involvement with kids has meant in your life. Like, what has it brought to you?
Right. One of the hats that I wore in my lifetime was being an outreach worker at the local senior center. And so I saw in the people that I was helping, and there's 5 senior housing places here in East Hampton, 2 are federal and 3 are state. And what I saw, even though they're all living together in the same building or little village, is isolation, because they don't do things together. They complain about each other. It's not a happy existence. But when you put kids into the mix, it's like bringing a child into a nursing home. And I don't know whether anybody's ever seen this, but if you bring a child into a nursing home, every face in that place lights up, because the youth, it makes older people feel good about themselves for some reason. And so it does the same thing here. We share our lives with these kids. We share our wisdom, our perspectives. We give them love. We have the patience that they need at our age. Patience is kind of like skin. You grow, you have extra layers of skin, and patience is one of them. And when kids have experienced trauma, patience is something that they need very, very much in their lives. And we provide that for them. We're flexible with them. We teach them. We're their teachers. They go to school and learn book stuff, but here they're learning life stuff. And so we all give something. Everybody in this community gives something different. My end of it is, the cooking, and I teach kids how to cook. At one point, we had was called Tree Cat Cafe, and it was run by the youth that was here in the community at the time, and it was cooking a whole meal for more than 70 people.
Wow.
Serving it, and we had local talent come in and provide music and laughter, and the kids were in, we sold tickets. They did all of it. They had their own bank account. They learned the business end of it. They learned the cooking and the serving end of it. I mean, this place is a learning experience for a child about life.
Well, I'm a little stressed out just the idea of cooking for 70 people, but good on these kids who are able to do it under your guidance, Holly. And Eric, I want to come back to you real quick here to write on what you were talking about earlier in terms of having older people have a purpose still after perhaps they retired, or maybe they're looking for a new chapter in their lives at a certain point. Are you seeing an improvement in terms of how society treats our elders, and have other states or other communities visit a treehouse out of interest of maybe trying to model this out for themselves?
So we have visitors regularly who are interested in feeling out whether this model might work in their communities. We typically don't have states visiting us per se. We have nonprofits visiting who are interested in launching something similar. But I do want to name the fact that Treehouse Foundation we are expanding. We are launching a community in the Mattapan neighborhood of Boston. We're launching a community in Worcester, Massachusetts, and we have a goal of getting to 10 communities in the pipeline by the year 2035. So we are very interested in moving beyond Massachusetts and bringing this critical work to as many different communities as we can, because expanding our impact we can't just expand the community to have greater impact, right? Because the relationships that exist across the community are the magic that make it work. And if we get too large in any one community, it's difficult for those relationships to really be pervasive across the community. So having more tree houses in more communities will allow us to reach so many more children, caregivers, and older adults. And one really exciting piece with our expansion is that in Boston and each subsequent community, we will have an additional generation that we bring into the community. And that will be youth aging out of the foster care system without a family connection. So we'll have studio apartments for those young adults to help ensure that they're building the life skills necessary to thrive into adulthood. So I am so excited about that development in the work, and I'm so excited about our expansion, frankly.
Well, we're looking forward to seeing how it grows and expands. And Holly, we're about to head to break, but I would love to have you close us out just by sharing, what does it mean to be a grandparent, both honorary and biological to you?
It brings joy to me, just to be able to share anything that I've learned in my lifetime to the next generation. It makes me proud, and I'm happy, and I will do this as long as I possibly can, to share my life and what I've learned with them. Judy Cockerton used to say, the seniors in this community are the secret sauce. Well, and so I like to I like being the secret sauce.
Well, thank you so much for being a part of that secret sauce and for sharing your secret recipes with us today. It's been a joy and a pleasure. You've been listening to Holly Hanfield, who's an honorary grandparent and longtime resident at Treehouse Communities in East Hampton, Massachusetts. Holly, so great to have you on the show today.
Thank you so much.
And Erica Kuster, who's CEO of Treehouse Foundation. Erica, we appreciate your time as well.
For having us.
After the break, we hear from another non-traditional form of grandparenting happening right here in Connecticut. Got a memory to share about how your grandparents shaped you? Let us know, 888-720-9677, or find us on Facebook and Twitter at Where We Live. This is Where We Live from Connecticut Public Radio. I'm Catherine Shen. This hour, we're celebrating grandparenting in its many forms. And since 1965, Big Brothers Big Sisters of Connecticut has seen the value in bringing together the oldest and youngest generations. Joining me now, Margarita LaBoy, who's the foster grandparent lead program specialist at Big Brothers Big Sisters of Connecticut. Margarita, wonderful to have you on the show today.
Thank you for having me.
And also with us is Classy Sanders, grandparent volunteer at Big Brothers Big Sisters of Connecticut. Classy, appreciate you being here as well.
Good morning, Kathy. It's such a pleasure to be here.
And for our listeners, let us know if you're a grandparent and what the role means to you. Give us a call, 888-720-9677, or find us on Facebook and Twitter at Where We Live. So, Margarita, you've been listening to the conversation earlier with Treehouse Foundation. Is there anything that jumped out to you that you would like to respond to?
So what they do kind of ties in where we come in as an agency. We like to bring the mentoring part of it into light. Their concept of bringing intergenerational activities and live right in our neck of the woods. What we do within our agency as at Big Brothers Big Sisters of Connecticut is that we provide those mentoring opportunities for the kiddos in our communities. And we specialize with having the foster grandparent program that now will be called Senior Bigs. Mm-hmm. It is our newest program that we're launching this fall. That program will be doing exactly what Treehouse does. It's providing the seniors in our community with the opportunity to give back in their own communities for the kiddos in the schools that might need support in reading or extra love or needing the extra motivation from a trusted adult that needs it.
Right. And so who typically volunteers to be a senior big at the program?
So our typical volunteers are from anywhere walks of life. Mm-hmm. They are 55 aged plus. They come from nursing backgrounds or former teachers. Before it used to be income-based, but now it will be without an income requirement, which allows for a lot more volunteers that are out here in our community that are 55 age plus that would love to give back to the community. It gives a sense of purpose. It gives them a chance to give back. It makes them useful. And they get to give a little extra of the sauce, like Holly said, to the kiddos in our community.
It turns out there's a lot of secret sauces in this very big secret recipe that I think most of us should get into at some point. And I want to get to Classy in a second, but how old are the littles?
So our littles, when we were in the foster grandparents, started at the age of 1, okay. I believe it was our youngest. And it went through middle school. But now with the new Senior Bigs model, we will be servicing kids from, I believe, first grade all the way up to 6th grade.
Okay, so quite a wide range of children being involved here. And in Classy, how did you find out about the program and what made you interested in getting involved in the first place?
I was currently a employee at the Big Brothers Big Sisters through CRT. I worked as a receptionist, and it was a training program. And you're allowed to be in it for 4 years. And when my 4 years was up and I found myself idle, one of the directors, managers of Big Brothers Big Sisters suggested that I go to the volunteer foster grandparent program and do that. So that's how I found out.
And do you remember the first moment you did it, maybe meeting your first kid, or what was that like for you?
Well, the first moment I did, I started out with the preschool, early childhood development at Job Corps. And I worked with, well, they were one going on two. They would be two within 3 to 6 months. And I worked with them for, I would say about 2 years maybe. Yeah, 2 years. And then I transferred to, then COVID hit. So we were out. And then when we came back, they put me into elementary school with second graders. And I thought 2-year-olds were exciting. Second graders brought me to a whole new level, and I learned from them. And they're the 2-year-olds. It's so important to what the work you do with the 2-year-olds and motivating them and everything, because eventually they're going to be those second graders.
Right.
And if you don't,
Do your homework.
right at the second grade, they will certainly. I mean, at preschool, they'll certainly show you in
Right.
second grade.
Well, Margarita, I see you're cracking up here, and I think we can all imagine the 2-year-olds and the second graders. But I think Classy makes such a great point here too, is realizing that the adults in their lives play such a huge role in that development period, and so if the homework is not done at 2, when you get to second grade, all chaos can go loose, right?
Absolutely. When you enter a preschool or an early childhood center, excuse me, you're given the opportunity to be there with teachers to get those fundamental basic skills, learning how to hold a pencil, learning to go by yourself to the bathroom, writing your name, sitting down for transitions. Simple things that we take for granted as adults and as second graders. You have already mastered that at second grade, or sometimes we hope that they've mastered it. But you're in a classroom where you're setting the stage. And these little people go through life thinking, I can do everything I want. That's where our volunteers, the teachers, the parents, grandparents, all of us have that role of educating these little young minds. And the role that they play as our volunteers is exceptional. They get to give them that extra push. They give the extra love. The teachers are there to teach the basics, yes. However, that can change over a day. Any child can walk in with a meltdown or have had no sleep the night before or had a traumatic event happen the night before. They're coming with all of that in the classroom, and they don't have the opportunity to express that to anybody, and the teacher doesn't have the time to sit and say, no, sweetheart, this is what that's about. And that's where our volunteers that are now going to be called senior bigs will be taking over on, where they can actually sit and give them that love and attention and help the support that teacher with getting those basic skills met at their own time.
Well, I feel like there's a thread in today's conversation in terms of there's a mix of education is important, instructional time in the classroom is important, but it sounds like that outside warmth and joy and understanding and support plays such a huge part in anyone's development, right? And so Classy, as a senior big, what goes through your mind when maybe a kid is having a hard time that day, especially they've all gone through so much, and your role here is to be that guiding light?
Well, one child pops in my mind. He had these big, bright eyes, and I think he knew that he melted my heart. And when he wasn't ready to settle down and listen to the teacher in circle time, so the teacher would send him over to me. You have to go and sit with Grandma. And then he comes and he sits with me, and he thinks it's, oh, good, I'm going with Grandma. We're going to have playtime. So then when he comes and he's ready to play, then I say, oh, wait a minute, I have to hear what the teacher's saying. And when he realizes the tension isn't completely on him and that Grandma wants to learn from the teacher, then all of a sudden he gets excited about learning and he wants to know. So then I say, okay, now you got to hurry up and go back to circle time so that you can learn. And he's very excited. He jumps up and he runs back and sits down and pays attention to the children. So there's different techniques in getting the children to want to learn and be involved.
Well, and we've been talking a lot about the Senior Bigs or the Treehouse Foundation playing a role in inspiring children. But what about being a grandparent yourself? You know, when you're watching the kid with the big eyes, knowing that he's about to melt your heart, you know, are you also inspired by what he's doing?
Yes, because I have life experiences and career experiences, and 3 specific ones that seem to led me to be in this position as a volunteer foster grandparent. My own situations of being a foster child myself, and then my second situation, raising my grandson, coming to me at the age of 4 and raising him to 17. And then my experience with being in the classroom with the children and made me reflect on my own life and the different stages and the careers I've had with, for instance, they speak different languages. You have 1 year, we had, I would say, about 4 children with different languages. And children have, they may be hearing impaired. They may have social disabilities, autisms, or so, and you have to learn. I'm not an educated teacher or educated in any of those fields, but life experiencing and knowing that the children, first and foremost, they do need to know that they're loved.
Well, it sounds like you're learning alongside them.
I am. I have. They teach me each and every day. They teach me. And in turn, I give back. I turn around what I'm learning from them to help them to grow in their educational journey.
When I think recognizing too the various very difficult situations that these children find themselves in that they have no control over, that in of itself is difficult to digest oftentimes. And I shared earlier that I started my career covering a lot of foster care related stories, and I do find myself ended up being very hopeful and very inspired by both the parents and the children being able to sort of go through what they've gone through and still achieve whatever they're able to achieve. So, Margarita, I would love for you to share too, you know, as someone in your position working at the Big Brothers Big Sisters, what goes through your mind when you see someone like Classy experience children and having them sort of perhaps go on a path that the children may not have a chance to unless they were at BBBS?
So it's wonderful to see the transformations. You walk into a classroom, the teacher's overwhelmed, and they're like, I need the help. You interview this wonderful volunteer, and you're like, this would be a great fit. And sometimes it is, and sometimes it's not. But 9 out of the 10 times, it's been a good fit. And you can see the difference in the classroom. You can walk in at the end of the school year, and see those eyes of those kids have lit up. They are achieving some of the same goals that some of the other children have been doing all year. And the teachers are thanking us for, oh my God, it's so wonderful to have these volunteers in our classroom. Can we have more of them? Where did you find them? And I just simply say, they were in your community. They just have to reach out to us, and we'll try to pair you. But it's inspiring to see the changes that the kids are going through with having the volunteers. And the volunteers change as well. Right. They walk in saying, I'm a nervous wreck. I don't know what I'm doing. How am I going to do this? I don't know the skills. And they learn it just by being there consistently with the kiddos because they're getting the same attention and the same love from the teachers and from the community that is here for them.
Well, and on that note, I want to really quickly ask, how do people get involved?
So they can reach out to us on our website, or they can call our phone number. Our easiest way of reaching us is through online, ctbigs.org. Through there, they will get paired up with an inquiry person, which will then do interview, and then we will get you started on the pathway.
Well, all of this information will be available for our listeners at ctpublic.org/where we live after the show. And Classy, to finish us off here, coming out of Grandparents' Day, why do you think we need a day to honor this relationship and in its many, many forms?
Well, I was so inspired by listening to Holly and what she offers the children and the community. And I recently moved from to a location, a facility, after living in one place for 26 years. And once I moved there, now I find myself, okay, I'm here. What am I going to do? And what came to my mind is to get a piano. I didn't want my house to become a TV. And I want to get a piano. I don't know how to play a piano, but I would like to get maybe the children. And I just recently thought of not the children only, but the elders, the seniors that are there, and we can learn to play the piano together, because I know she focuses on the art.
Right.
And I said, well, music is an art, and we can learn to play the piano. So I was looking for pianos online in the marketplace. And just get a piano and sit there, and even with our arthritic fingers, try to learn how to play the piano with, for the children and the seniors. But you, as a grandparent, you want to give back because you feel so blessed, to have participated in programs such as the volunteer foster grandparents, and they give us so much more than we give, and you want to figure out a way to give back, like you want to make the remaining years worthwhile to someone else,
Did you ever find yourself in a situation where you're going to get a piano?
I'm thinking about it all the time. I have to stay focused.
Right.
Okay? It's a thought. The thought came to my mind. Now I have to see it through.
Well, now you've said it, and now you have kids that will help you get there. Crossing the fingers.
Cross those fingers.
Well, thank you so much, Classy, for sharing your story with us. You've been listening to Classy Sanders, who's a grandparent volunteer at Big Brothers Big Sisters, Connecticut. Classy, a pleasure having you on today.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be here.
And you were also listening to Margarita LeBoy, who's a foster grandparent lead program specialist at Big Brothers Big Sisters of Connecticut. Margarita, appreciate your time as well.
Thank you. Look for us online.
I'm Catherine Shen. Today's show is produced by Chloe Wynn. Our technical producer is Dylan Reyes. Download Where We Live anytime on your favorite podcast app. And thank you all so much for listening.